They say the first 100,000 is the hardest. But what if I told you that once you hit that milestone, your net worth can skyrocket beyond your wildest dreams? Here's why they don't tell you what really happens after you hit that 100,000 mark. Stay tuned, because what comes next is more than just a number. Everyone talks about the struggle of reaching your first 100,000, but what they rarely mention is the strange acceleration that happens right after. It's like breaking through an invisible wall that suddenly sends your wealth spiraling upward, faster than you thought possible. But how exactly does this work? Is it magic? Is it just math? Or is there something else going on? Let's dive into the eerie world of wealth building and why your net worth doesn't just grow, it explodes after you hit that 100,000. For most people, the challenge is getting to that elusive 100,000. It's a slow, grueling process filled with sacrifice, doubt, and countless setbacks. You save, invest, and hustle, and yet your wealth barely seems to move. The problem? Nobody prepares you for this part. You're doing all the right things, but it feels like you're dragging a boulder uphill. And yet, those who finally make it past the 100,000 threshold swear that everything changes. What's the secret they're not sharing? 100,000 mark, 100,000 threshold. Here's something that no one talks about: momentum. Think of it like pushing a massive boulder. In the beginning, it barely moves. You sweat, you push, and nothing seems to happen. But then, it starts rolling slowly at first, but after that, there's no stopping it. It picks up speed, it gains power. This is how wealth works too. After you hit 100,000, your money starts to build its own momentum. Each dollar you save or invest adds to this rolling boulder, making it move faster and faster. Suddenly, opportunities come to you, not the other way around. It's almost as if, once you have that 100,000, the universe itself bends to make you wealthier. Weird, right? But it happens. And it's more real than you'd believe. There's something spooky about how your brain works once you hit 100,000. You stop thinking like someone who's just trying to survive and start thinking like someone who's building an empire. Before 100,000, every dollar seems scarce, every risk too great. But after, you start seeing money as a tool, not a limitation. Your mindset shifts. You're no longer just saving for a rainy day, you're building for a future where rain doesn't even bother you. This psychological shift is powerful. It changes how you approach risk, how you invest, and how you spend your time. It's as if you unlock a new level of thinking, one that only those with money can access. But not everything is smooth sailing after you hit that magic number. There's a darker side to crossing the 100,000 mark, a trap that many fall into. It's called complacency. After all that hard work to hit 100,000, some people get too comfortable. They stop hustling, stop saving as aggressively, and let their guard down. And that's when the real danger sets in. Just because you've crossed the 100,000 threshold doesn't mean you're immune to financial setbacks. In fact, the stakes are even higher now. One wrong move, a bad investment, an ill-timed splurge, or just plain bad luck, and you could lose everything. The higher you climb, the further you have to fall. So, while hitting 100,000 might feel like you've made it, the real challenge is staying sharp and avoiding the pitfalls that can knock you back down. Here's the real kicker. Once you hit 100,000, your wealth doesn't just grow, it accelerates. It's like you've been walking through mud all this time and suddenly you're sprinting on dry land. The money starts coming faster, the opportunities multiply, and before you know it, your net worth is snowballing. But don't get too comfortable. This is where the real test begins. Can you keep up with the pace? Can you handle the pressure of wealth management? Because once your net worth skyrockets, there's no going back. So there you have it. Crossing the 100,000 line is more than just a financial milestone. It's a turning point. Your money starts growing faster, opportunities come knocking, and your mindset shifts in ways you never expected. But with great power comes great responsibility. Now it's up to you to keep the momentum going and avoid the traps that could send you spiraling back down. After all, in the world of finance, nothing is guaranteed, except that hitting 100,000 is only the beginning. Ready for the next step? Subscribe and see what comes after 100,000.